Hello, welcome tonight to Front Row Racing World Series Reserves tonight here in Japan. It's round 17 of 2016. Tonight we have a good grid full of exciting drivers to battle it out on track to see who is the fastest tonight. On the Mercedes front, we've got the OG Dragon and Caribbean Crush. Both are familiar faces on the series, and I'm sure they will get a great finish here in Japan. In the Ferraris, you got Anders, who I think a few months ago struggled a bit with pace, but he certainly found his mojo to score a high finish with Shumi Garcia. Let's say I'm not too familiar with him, but I'm sure he will try his best. In the Williams, you got Trist Royalty, a phenomenal driver looking to even promote to the World Series. He's sure to be close to the podium and might even win. And well, for his teammate we got Drew, also a really steady driver, also always has good finishes in the series, in the reserves. So we will see a show from him. In the Red Bull, we got Laura GB. I'm not too familiar with him, so we'll see how he gets cracking on. In the Renaults, we got Ozzy, a really experienced driver, and next to him, Danny Railton. He's had a few good results, even a win, I think, and I'm sure he is going for a great result. Might even see him on the podium. At Scuderia, we got Arazor. I'm not too familiar with him, to be honest, as I'm from a championship point of perspective, but we'll see how he gets going. Coloniax, a fast driver for Sauber. We've got I'm Loki, one of the top contenders for the win tonight in Japan. So we'll have to keep an eye out on his strategy and his pace. Last but not least, not least, we got Curly Wordy. Got a few wins under his belt. A new driver, but he's really on his pace, and I'm sure we'll see him on the podium tonight. Well, anything can happen, but yeah, it's sure going to be exciting. In the Haas, we got Gonk and Barfmet. Gonk is a driver I know, he's fast. Barfmet I've not seen before, so it will be an interesting experience for everybody watching. So that are all the drivers. Let's see, and I saw that a few drivers joined in late. Are we having the drivers ready?
I believe we are. I'm clicking ready now. We'll send them over to the track, and just to let everybody know, Bleeding Sunrise is your main commentator today. Coming to get you is here as well. He's just not been able to get a word in yet. Over you, Dave. And I'm going to be here, but I'm going to try and not say too much today. Sertek Kalatepe was going to join us on commentary, but unfortunately, it looks like he hasn't got any electricity at the moment, so disappointment for him. So yeah, Bleeding Sunrise coming to get you. I'm here for any info you need. Other than that, good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So
nice little intro there, Bleeding Sunrise. It's nice to be here, joining you.
Yeah, well, let's have an introduction. Might be not the right way to do. We'll introduce ourselves in a bit, because coming up is the tire selection. We'll talk about it and then introduce ourselves to see, to let the public know who we actually are and do we have something we can say for ourselves. All right. The tires for this evening. If you go soft, you have a lot of soft tires. It will be an aggressive strategy, but in the end, you will have to use a harder compound. You can go for balanced, then you have a bit more tire life on you, and even with hard, you can have a safe bet, so you can end your race at least making the finish line.
So very, very true there.
Who are we?
Same tires from
who are we? And do we have something to say for ourselves that we know what we're talking?
Oh, Bleeding Sunrise! They all know who we are. We race in the WC. We like to put on a show, just like these guys are going to do for us here today. Zuka, tricky track. Let's see what the weather brings for us today. I reckon rain.
Yeah. Well, some people know who saw some racing. Know I'm most of the time I'm doing a rain dance, so we'll see. So Dave, can you bring us through the weather?
I sure can. I am looking at qualifying as we speak. The first 10, 15 minutes have just popped up. It's overcast, people. Track temperature 27 degrees, air temperature 19 degrees. Interesting conditions for the qualifying session ahead. Moving on to the race, we have, I believe, light rain, interesting race all the way throughout. But as we know, Codemasters do like to throw a surprise for us, and these weather conditions may not match up to what we may see. So, a bit of spice there for us today, Bleeding.
Yep.
What do you reckon we're seeing? Who's the driver to keep an eye on today?
We've got a few fast drivers who sure want to go and upgrade to the actual World Series. So we've got a few fast drivers. Mr. Loki is sure to be fast. We've got Curly Whirly, who's got a few wins recently. He's a new driver in the series. Who have I forgotten?
Well, just to mention about Curly Whirly, not only has he won a couple of World Series reserve races, he had his first proper reserve drive in the World Series last week, and he won it. The guy is talented.
Yes. I'm actually racing with him in another league, and well, it's safe to say he's leading it by quite a margin.
Just an update for you, Bleeding. I've just had an over around the track, and we've got cars everywhere. They all look to seem to be going out, getting it done early. Possible bankers looking towards maybe going through the tyres. Oh, we've got a bit of a mix here, soft medium, so it'll be interesting to see what these guys go with the weather we've got coming ahead for the start of the race.
Yeah, and speaking of the weather, so if it rains, and well, it should rain. Do you have a different approach, knowing that it's going to rain in the race?
I do. Don't pick up a poncho around Monza. It's not good news. No, joking aside, it's one of the tracks where aero is quite important, but it's one of those ones where you can go high or low, possibly in the middle. So I don't think setups will be crucial for the wet. I think people will be more relying on their skills and talent in the conditions we've got coming before us before the race. So very interesting. But no, I believe we've got drivers just starting their flying laps now. So who are you on board with now?
I'm on board with Anders HC. He's got Williams on his back to push him along on the track. I will talk through the lap. So he's heading into turn 1, a tricky corner to get right. Actually, you can go pretty far in it, but it's always a risk to push the corners. You can run easily wide there. Coming on to a really tight section. I think for myself it's one of the most technical parts of the entire season. And well, there's his teammate right in front of him. I hope he gets out of his way. He gets, but I don't know if he got advantage by it. Let's say. So now he flicks his car to the right, underneath to the tunnel, into a tricky hairpin. Part where you can easily lock up your tires. Well, not a problem for Anders. He swiftly goes through the hairpin and accelerates furiously out of the corner. Heading up to Spoon. It's a corner where your balance of the car might shift a bit, and yeah, he goes nicely. It's a part where you can actually go off track really easy. And question for you, Dave. The last corner he did, it's a part for me where I see a lot of drivers not really nailing the apex. Is that a choice, or is it fast, or just a mistake?
Possible mistake. This track's very, very tricky. I'll just say it how it is. It's got a lot of inclines, uphill, downhill, acceleration points, and every one of them's crucial because the car just seems to go light. So taking your time, picking it up gently is probably the right way to go, but the man you're just following has just set a 134.5 and put it on pole.
And it's all 3 sectors are purple.
They are indeed.
So can you, Dave, can you tell me if one of the drivers is starting a new lap so we can see what's up with him?
I'm checking as we go right now.
Shumi Garcia, he's a new one.
Shumi Garcia, let's jump on board with Shumi. We are there as we speak. Coming through turns 3 and 4 is the part of the track that's known as the S's. I like to call it the slalom because it's so challenging as you go through these corners. The second part of the S's is very tricky trying to line up the bung up because this is a corner of the part of the track where traction is important, but you need to get it down as early as possible. Heading up to Degma 1, nice and smooth. Bit cautious, attacking Degma 2, take your time, pick up early shifter, very wise, nicely done. Tricky hairpin coming up. You're not lining the braking up straight, it's tricky to get right because you can have an outside and inside lock up one after the other. Traction point crucial as we come through this long right-hander, also known as 200R. A few people may not lose that, but it's one of these corners that it's just plant it, follow it around, enjoy it. Now we go into spoon, don't attack the first part, I say, guide it into the second part. Taking it third gear, very, very cautious here, Shumi. Maybe just a banker feeling his way in, he's moved to the WCR, as we know. Heading up to 130R, coming over the Magic 8 section, as I like to call it, the track flat out through 130R. The only track on the calendar that's a figure 8. Hit the braking point as late as you can into Casino Triangle. Tight lines, nice and gently. Tricky traction point miss, comes out. The rear can kick out at you any point. The RS open, and we're coming to the line with a 136.3 possible banker there.
It was a good lap and it was a good commentary on the lap as well, but we're in the WSR, not the WCR. However, Shumi Garcia is involved. He is involved in the WCR, and one of the reasons I mentioned that he was on a lap is because he was doing quite well in qualifying yesterday, but then his internet shut down, so he couldn't actually take part in the race. So it'd be interesting to see how he gets on today in the WSR.
Okay, thanks for, well, as we said, DP is here to give us information and he's correcting me as I go, so great way to start.
Sorry.
So moving on, I'm now on board with the OG Dragon. Seems to be just going around feeling himself, seeing what the car's got. On the mediums as we speak, corner tricky. I believe he locked his right front there and tried to ease off to save the inside lock up there. Not looking particularly quick at the moment. I think this might be an actual simulation run for the start of the race, you know, on full fuel, mediums. Would that give any type of indication for interconditions? Do you reckon, Bleeding?
Sorry, I didn't hear your question.
Say that again?
Sorry, I didn't hear your question right.
Oh, sorry, I just said going out, it looked like he was on a full fuel sim run there, possible getting ready for the start of the race. Do you reckon running on the inters in a lean mix can give you any type of idea of what it may be in the conditions at the start of the race?
Yeah, you might. I mean, you have a lot less traction in the rain, of course. It gives you a bit of an idea, and if you run a lot of fuel for a few laps, it gives you a bit of sensation of less grip. But for me, myself, in quali, I would just focus on quali and worry about the race later.
I see. Just caught my attention. I'm on board with Caribbean Crush. Yep, coming through Sector 2. He's set at 42.4. Sector 1 at 34.8, sorry. Coming into Casino Triangle. This looks set for a front row, second row minimal in the early part. Let's see what he can do as he brings it across the line.
Wow.
His pole, 134.1. That's very, very competitive.
It's a quick time.
He gained his time there, 2 tenths in Sector 2 and 2 tenths in Sector 3.
Shall we have a look on the current standings in time to see who is where at the moment? Dave, would you like to run us through the order?
Yep, apologies, just catching my breath. At present, we have Caribbean Crush sat on pole with a 134.1, followed by Anders with a 134.5. Now flying through the order, bearing in mind the two front runners, Caribbean Crush on mediums, Anders on softs. Curly third mediums, Uzi fourth softs, Danny Railton fifth mediums, seventh Shumi on the softs. Oh, sorry, Shumi's on the mediums, apologies. Eighth is a Razor on the softs. Bereavement is 9th on the softs, Lord JB 10th on the softs, Dolk 11th on the softs, OG 12th on the mediums, Cone Lex 13th on the softs, Twist Royalty on the softs in 14th, and we're still waiting for I'm Loki and Tyler, 2003, to set lap times, and I believe Tyler is on a lap as we speak.
Yeah, he is as well. Anders had just started a flying lap 2. However, I don't know if he was involved with another car, but he's just had a big crash heading towards turn 3. Doesn't look like he's got too much damage on the car. Should be able to get it back to the pits.
Right. Are there any guys who are going on the left? I'm following Tyler at the moment.
Curly Whirly's just started the flying lap.
Let's go to
Just about to say that. Jump on board with Curly Whirly's lining up. Turns 1 and 2, very tricky, braking late. And he's just coming to start second one, so over to you, Bleeding, see what he can do on the softs.
Yeah, I thought he was on mediums on his first lap, so he will be sure to, actually, it might be a fake lap, actually. I do that sometimes myself to keep my muscles warm. He actually goes off track for a tiny bit, but let's see if he just carries on. Now I think he's back on. Does he?
No, he's a 10th on his previous lap, so I might follow this through and carry it through and just get an eyesight of what he can and can't do, bearing in mind he made I believe that's a big mistake coming up through Dunlop, because that can cost you a lot of time on traction and top end speed up to the segments.
Yeah, he's carrying on, and we know it's going to rain in the race, so you might as well just destroy these tires and go for one final run on your third set, so it might not need to be that big of a problem if you don't do a good run on one of the tires.
Exactly, it's just a case of with the weather they've got coming their way, get out there, pump in the laps. That's what I would be doing, because the conditions you're going into in the race are nothing like what you're driving in now, guys, so whack on the boots and give it everything you got.
Yeah, it's even kind of freeing to know you're never going to use the tires again, so you can just go on and just stand on it.
Curly Whirly's going to take pole.
Ooh, that's a
nice
really
lap.
good time.
Nice lap. I think the mistake cost him there. Looking at the timing screens, he's only 1/10 faster than Caribbean Crush there on the mediums.
Imagine if you can pump in another time, and I think with 6 minutes to go, he might do it. So might be.
Danny Railton is just coming into the last couple of corners, not looking too shabby. May improve his position.
Right, I'm now with Danny Railton going off the final chicane, running through the finish line. And he actually goes to fifth. Not really a good time for him. Good starting point for your race. And
just to give you an update on Curly Whirly, he's at a 134.3. He is flying on his second run, and the soft compounds might be worth seeing what he can do and jumping on board with him as we speak, Bleeding.
Yeah, I just jumped on board with him going through through one of the R's, going into Spoon. He got really tight on the first one, goes over the apex on the outside, back to the inside on the first corner, goes a bit wide, might be a bit of a traffic accident. He just abandons his lap to run out of fuel.
Might be wise, given the time that's left, and gives him a chance to get a bit of fuel in the car, another set of boots, go out there, and when the track's all rubbered in at his very best, see what he can do later on.
And I haven't seen any driver do it, but if I were doing qualifying, I would just go to the shortest line to the finish line to just gain a 5/10 is something really low now.
Kind
It
of,
was, and you've just given away the secret.
What are you doing?
If you're going to tell us that, you might as well tell us your setup.
It's only like 500 of a second. It's not going to be. Well, might be a good problem. I mean, it's no secret. I mean, a lot of the greats have done it in actual Formula 1, so not really. I don't think it's really a secret.
just to let you know, usually it's had a pretty decent Sector 1 time. Sector 2's not too bad, just crossing the line now, stays 6th though. I did see the OG Dragon popped himself up into 8th place as well. I'm Loki, the only driver at the moment who has not set a lap time. There are a couple of drivers out there getting ready to start laps. But Lord JB, who may be out there, Tyler, Eraser, Shumi Garcia, Drew are all on out laps at the moment, as is Caribbean Crush, I think, on the soft compound tyre.
Shall we go to so he's on his outline, on his outlap, trying to prepare himself in the optimum way. When I go on my outlap, I like to do it as slow as possible as I can get away with, to not heat up my tires too much, so I can really attack on my flying lap. Is that something? Yeah. Are there a lot of approaches to it? I see a lot of drivers doing different stuff.
It could be to do with setup. Some drivers maybe go and attacking where there's a lot of wear, so they've got to take the time and get as much life as they can out of the tyres, or people can be pushing a bit more because they know that they can get the tyre life, the tyres to a certain distance with a couple of runs or a run. So it's interesting, and it would be nice to know what these guys do, because it might help me with my events next week. So
right. I'm now on board with Caribbean Crush, going to sure to be to attack for pole position, coming into the first corner, nailing the apex, not running too wide, and well, I must say a perfect corner, going into to the, well, as I said, the slalom section of the track. Yeah, a section I'm totally in love with, so to drive myself. Yeah, he's going really tight on his lines, going up to the hill. A bit slidey on the back end. Well, he catches it. Might be a really fast way to go to the right, taking a bit of.
He's down on his first sector. I need to cut in for a moment. Sorry, Niels. Apparently, the game volume's quite loud, and people are struggling to hear the commentary audio at the moment. What I'm going to need you to do, if you can, is come out of the TV monitor in the pit lane. And go to preferences and audio settings, and then audio volume levels.
On the game?
Yes, on the game.
Audio settings. Yeah.
Audio volume levels, and just turn down effects, main vehicle and other vehicles by a couple of clicks, please.
I've got
apologies to the viewers.
Yeah, effects and main vehicle I got down.
Yeah, just knock them down a couple, and we'll see if that improves it. Apologies to the viewers for missing any of the last moment action here, but I had to just quickly do that. Caribbean Crush has popped himself back onto pole position, so apologies for missing that lap. But if we didn't get the audio sorted now, it would have been the same all the way through.
And we actually missed Caribbean Crush going in and taking first position at the moment.
A little bit of an update onto that for you guys. The lap was absolutely smashing. He attacked every apex, and it was superb with the time he set of a 1:33.4. But I've just got an update. I've got Curly Whirly 7 now. I've been following his set of one.
Yeah, I'm following Curly Whirly at the moment.
34.3 sector 1, 42.4, which is off what Caribbean Crush set in the second sector. So it's going to be interesting with just trying Casino Triangle coming up. Nice tight, take your time, guide it in. Little bit of a correction there. Easy on the power, early shift up, early again. Now flooring it, here it comes, it's 1:33. I'm quite surprised, he's 4/10 off Caribbean, so we've just been kicked from the commentary box.
Well, that puts an end to his pole position streak.
Anders, I think, is still on a lap at the moment, as is Shumi Garcia.
Yeah, I'm now on board with Anders, looking to improve his time, going a bit wide on the end, in the corner to go into the long straight. Well, the only thing he can do now is just floor it and hope for the best. Going on to I forgot the corner name. In the heat of the moment, going on to the chicane. Flicking left, flicking right. He took a bit of curve on that one, but let's see what happens. Yeah, still in third.
As you following that, I'm following Shumi. He's just exiting Spoon as we speak, opening up the throttle. He was very, very slow off the hairpin. Maybe strategy in getting the traction, but he's flying up to 130R as we speak, just coming up to the apex, whipping in. Hope for the best that you come out the other side. Coming up to a chicane, very tricky, nice and tight, nice and tidy there. Missing the second apex, maybe for a better traction, missing the exit curve. Looks slow, may turn out to be quick. Here he comes. It's 6th place, I believe. Yep, 6th place. He's got a 5 grid penalty though. Shame for the reason that happened. Do we have any update, DP, of why that may have been?
I would guess it'd be for crossing the pit lane white line. It usually is. No, it was for a collision with Twist Royalty that he's been given a 5-place grid penalty for.
Thank you very much for the update. It's very, very unfortunate. Just a little eye-opener for the guys. When you see people out on a flying lap or a car quicker than you, it's wise to get out of the way as soon as possible if you are not on a hot lap.
Right. I will leave the game now to come back in as soon as possible.
No, not now, not now. No,
right,
no, sorry. Wait until the formation lap has begun,
yeah,
and then you can leave there. Although you just love the sound of rain in the morning.
Pitter patter. Great way to start the day, I always say.
Oh yeah.
It's an interesting qualifying session that though, guys. I mean, you touched on it about the tyres and how much the drivers were open to use up the tyres. So they could have gone for doing 1 or 2 laps on them, or they didn't have to bother using the mediums if the softs were quicker. So yeah, an interesting qualifying session there. Unfortunate for Shumi Garcia, and unfortunate for us and the viewers that we didn't see Caribbean Crush's lap at the end, and also unfortunate for Drew, who I think has just lost connection. But yeah, Niels, once this formation lap is underway, you'll be able to leave and then jump back in, hopefully, and you can take us through the start of the race.
While you do that, Bleeding, I will run through the grid order as we missed it at the end of the session. On pole, we have the Caribbean Crush, who we know a little bit about, followed by fifth, Canoliex in 6th, Uzi in 7th. I will get this update. We have a car missing off the grid, possibly Drew in 8th. I'll wait for DP's update. In 9th, we have the OG Dragon. 10th, Eraser. Shumi Garcia in 11th. Gonk in 12th. Bereavement in 13th. Tyler R 2003 in 14th. Lord JB 13 and 15th. Then we're followed with the comms team with I'm Loki sat in 17th. Possibly doing what he does best with all drivers, starting on the intermediate compound tyre.
Yep, and it was Drew in 8th place. Okay, Niels, have you been able to rejoin us back at the circuit?
Yes, I am. I'm currently with Caribbean Crush, who somehow is in 13th position in the formation. Don't know what happened there, but yeah, I'm back in the game.
Good stuff. So, wet start, guys, compared to dry start you had yesterday. What's the difficulties the wet start down into turn 1 and 2 here in Suzuka?
Well, for me, it's first and foremost is to not lose the car on traction. It's really slippery, and well, part 2 is braking a bit earlier to make sure you're not hitting someone off the track, which would be really fortunate on turn 1. You can't win a race, but you can certainly lose one. For me, the main difficult part. You guys?
I agree with pretty much what you said there. The only thing that I would bring to other drivers' attention, myself, was what I look at is awareness has to be sharper than sharper. We're at a slippery track, braking's crucial. There are some key heavy braking points. Don't think the driver in front's braking point is your braking point. Stick to what you know. Go for overtakes when you can. Take your time. It's a long, wet race.
We're looking through the cars who are lining up to start this race, and it promises to be a really fun 27 laps around Asia in Japan, and it just fits me. I'm now back at Twist Royalty, going to 5 lights, and we're off. A really good start by Curly Whirly. I think he's going to take it. Our Red Bull is flying through the cars. Curly Whirly on the inside, taking the first position. Oh, what is a few cars off into turn 1. There's Williams lagging a bit, but Curly Whirly takes first position into the tight section of the track.
There was a big crash on the run down towards turn 1. It looks like a Razor, Gonk have been involved in that one. Just to let you know, I'll find out who else for you.
Right, I'll go back to the front of the pack to see what's happening there. Curly Whirly still leading the race. Into second, Caribbean Crush. And Uzi, Twist Royalty, Danny Railton, Enders, the OG Dragon, I'm Loki. I'm sure he's going to want to move up the grid. Koloniak, Shumi, and then myself as a ghost. Well, let's have a look on the front of the grid. Caribbean Crush. He's still got Mr.
It's all kicking off round Danny Railton. You may want to get. We've got 4 cars, 2 Renaults, Williams, a Ferrari. OG involved in this. It's all kicking off, swerving everywhere, struggling for traction coming around the corner known as 200R. It's not. Whoa, Renault gone, Renault gone. Which Renault was that? Was that Uzi? Uzi off. Uzi went off. Slight touch between 2 cars around the outside of Spoon. That's where caution was needed and a bit of consideration. But as we know, racing, you've got to expect the bumps and grinds. And I was looking at that. We've got a battle with Mr. Loki, Ferrari Renault. It's all going off. What a brilliant race. Just keep it clean, guys. It's spectacular.
Yeah, there's a McLaren going on to the back of Danny Railton. Danny Railton, who I think didn't make his teammate too happy. They're going 3 wide until the start-finish straight. There's a McLaren having pace in his engine that we haven't seen a whole season before. He's in the wall! Or it was lag. Could be either way, but there's a Ferrari going wide. There's a McLaren going right, going off the track. Well, I'm sure these drivers have to get used to the conditions, as Polly was pretty bone dry. It's a totally different driving experience. And there's a Ferrari going off the track. I will go back to him. Did you guys see if there was any contact with McLaren?
I didn't, but the Ferrari that's just rejoined the track has joined right in the middle of a battle between the OG Dragon and Koloniak. So that's the OG Dragon, and he's now got Anders behind him, and Anders is attacking him.
There are 2 Ferraris
while
going off the track.
Jumped on that battle, just a quick update for the lead. We've got them both nose to tail, going for it, powerful lever, pulling away from the rest of the pack. Me and back over to you.
Right, shall we have a look how life is at the front end of the field? Curly Whirly still
I'd
going
stick
strong.
on the battle you're on at the moment.
Yeah, sorry, go back. I'm back at the...
I'll shout at you if anything's going to happen up at the front.
Yeah, that's good. I'm looking at the OG Dragon and the Mercedes almost tapping the Sauber. And,
Anders, he go, touch, Anders, please!
Touch again.
Ooh.
Well, by that he got a pretty good exit and having a run in the Sauber. Don't know what happened there. But, yeah, 6th place for him at the moment.
It's all kicking off. What an eventful race so far.
I don't know where I must look.
Caribbean Crush, he's made a mistake in the final couple of corners. He's lost a load of time. I don't think he's damaged his car, but yeah, that's cost himself a hell of a lot of time. Just to update you as well, I said there was a big crash heading down into turn 1. There was at least 7 cars involved, and Barvermat unfortunately ended in terminal damage.
That's really unfortunate for him. Can you guys have a look where the fights are going on at the moment?
Well, at the moment I'm following the 2 Ferraris. We've got Shumi, Garcia and Anders having their own little battle for 8th and 9th as we speak. We've got Koloniak in 7th with the OG Dragon in 6th. 2 cars quite close, seem to be matching each other with pace. Wait and see anything happens here. Other than that, I believe the field are quite spread out at present.
I think that's something with rain, people spread out more. Is it not that common, or is it just bad luck for
sorry, I was going to say, I'd keep your eyes on Koloniak. He's being caught by the Ferraris at the moment. I'll keep you updated on gaps.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Watching Koloniak at the moment. Going into the hairpin, there was a The Ferrari behind him had a bit of a look, but he was too far behind to have a honest chance of this inside. Well, of course, no DRS at this time, but with a bit of slipstreaming, it might help to get a run into 130R. Well, in the dry, it's already daunting to try something. But in the rain, it's sure to get you some sweaty hands on the wheel.
It's treacherous in the rain, it's bad enough in the dry.
The OG Dragon is catching up to the back of Yuzi very, very quickly.
Oh, we've got, before we do that, the Ferrari goes on the inside of Coloniax and takes the position into the chicane before the start-finish straight. And, well, Coloniax can't really do anything about it.
Well, we've got the OG Dragon getting right up nice and close to Renault's gearbox here. Gets any closer, he'll be able to see how that gearbox works. So it might be worth following this battle at the moment. They seem quite close and might be the next move to take place. And I will follow Anders in the background. Looking interesting as we go.
Well, I'm already need to get some oxygen. I mean, these first 3 to 4 laps are amazing to watch, to be honest.
Amazing to watch for us, treacherous for them doing the business.
and you know, these reserve events are a good way to get some extra experience on track. We both are championship drivers. We've been reserves in the past. What was your aim when you were reserve?
Beat everyone, not let anyone stand in my way. No, joking aside, the main goal was to come in, get used to the drivers, go wheel to wheel them, because until you know their driving style, attempting overtakes can get a bit risky. But yeah, that was the goal. Got my seat and then set my goal for 5th, so it can be done. So for these guys here, anytime you can get called up and be given a permanent seat.
Niels, just to let you know, you may need to raise your voice a little bit if you can.
Okay.
Barvermet has now left the session. Tyler has made a pit stop as well, but Yuzi is coming under a lot of pressure from the OG Dragon. I did say that there was a lot of cars involved in that collision earlier on. I'm going to have another look at the race director, and if there's anything I can update you with, I can. There was one thing I saw that I want to mention to you guys, though. I did see that Lord JB got a massive jump start. He was disconnected during qualifying, and that's something I believe both of you have seen or had experience of in reserve or main events.
Yes. Yeah, it's pretty important if you disconnect from the game. There are a few different rules concerning disconnection. I mean, if you would lose connection in real life, you would basically crash your car. So if you lose connection in on these reserve races, you are allowed to go back in. You are allowed to race, but there's a bit of a gentleman's agreement to maybe not do that, to be a bit fair. But if you go to the main leagues, the World Series and the Championship, you're not allowed to go back in. It's your responsibility to have a connection sorted.
In qualifying, if you get disconnected in qualifying in the World Championship or the World Series, you can come back in, you can retake control of your car, but you can't put another lap in qualifying because of the jump start problem that occurs in the race. Yeah, if you get disconnected in the race, unfortunately that is it, race over for you.
Okay, that clarifies the ruling on disconnection between the reserves, the event, and the actual World Series and Championship event.
We've got the Renault. I'm sorry to cut you off. We've got OG Dragon following the Renault. I was following that on the screen, and the Renault got off track after 130R, and he's now under a lot of pressure from the guy behind the OG Dragon. Can he do it? No, he can't. There's no DRS to aid him in his overtake, so it's a bit more tricky.
Seems that they're pegging each other with a possible setup, possible same arrows, not enough slipstream there, because we've got the same situation back here in 7th and 8th. I'm keeping an eye on both. We've got Shimmy Garcia in 8th and Canoliac in 7th, and the gap just seems to constantly remain in about 2 or 3 car lengths, and it doesn't matter what happens or what you do, we're just not getting the run. So it might be wise to look at getting an undercut from these guys, or possibly an overcut from the guys in front. So we'll see how this pans out. What do you reckon to strategy though, Bleeding? Do you reckon we can see a 1-stop with the Indy conditions, or do you reckon this is a 2-stop?
Before the race, I took a bit of a look on the strategy screen, and it said it would be a 2-stop, but there was quite a bit of an overlap on the usage of the tire, so a 1-stop might be possible, but I think it's one of those cases where it might be done. It might be theoretically possible, but is it actually quicker? I mean, especially on a track like Suzuka, you want to have a front end which bites into the track, which has grip. And it also, especially in these conditions, it gives you a bit more confidence if you have tires which have a bit more life on them. So it might be a personal preference, not even what is
very true there. Yeah, and besides that, we've set up, I suppose, looking at what you've just referred to there, it could be a case of with the setup you're a bit more aggressive on tyres. We've got all Canoliacs defending from Shumi. Possible move on the run down to turn 1 coming up. I will keep you updated.
I was
the
actually
OG Dragon has, sorry guys, the OG Dragon has managed to get past Yuzi into the final chicane where Senna and Prost had their coming together. And Yuzi's ran a little wide at turn 1 as well.
Shumi runs right. He got close to the car in front, but well, it might be nerves, might be breaking himself. I don't know. But it's a bit unfortunate for him to run right. So the 2 days, do we have some other battles going on at the moment we can watch?
I'm looking as we speak. The cars are quite spread out. Getting back to Lord JB, Gold, they're quite close, not close enough, still maintaining the same gap. Back up at the front, Curly Whirly, Caribbean Crush, gap's extending slowly, so Caribbean Crush on his A game today. But Caribbean Crush pulling away from twists, so Danny Railton, it seems the battles we're paying attention to are the ones that are kicking off at the moment, and the closest ones on track as we speak, Bleeding, so let's keep our eyes on them and have a flick as we go. If we catch any other action. Oh, Uzi on the grass, not a good place to be in these conditions.
Oh yes, it's so treacherous out there. I mean, it could, in my experience, sometimes Inters is even more difficult than running in wet weather conditions. I mean, in wet weather conditions you're fully aware that, well, of course that it rains, but sometimes you think you have grip in Inters and then suddenly you don't have any grip.
Sorry guys, Lord JB and Gonk. Lord JB and Gonk, they are ever so close at the moment as they go through the Degners.
That cap did close up quick there, I did just mention that. Gonk's on a mission as we speak, coming down into the hairpin. He's not lining up. Oh, JB's gone deep. Is he going to get him? On the back, Lord JB giving plenty of room, nice to see. Still side by side with an overlapping place. Lord JB still going. Very tricky. Both cars getting through 200R so far. Lord JB on the grass. Respectful driving, cautious driving, that's what I like to see. Spoon, tricky. Ooh, easing off. Too much curve there, too much. Interesting exit. It seems to have all calmed down for a minute, and they're back to as they were. So, tricky conditions. I mean,
yeah, it's sure testing the drivers.
Yeah, it seems that most drivers are in a stalemate with each other, and once they get there, they can't do nothing with it. So,
yeah, they were fighting. The two dogs were fighting for a bone, and they forgot about the bone and just fight.
Yeah, let's OG Dragon's progress. Although OG Dragon's got past Easy, he's not being able to do anything with it at the moment. Nice line through the hairpin.
Well, I've just been looking at lap times, and something I want to mention that is very impressive from the top few drivers. Curly Whirly, pretty much every single one of his laps is within 2 or 3 tenths of the next lap. Very, very consistent from him at the moment. Caribbean Crush, he had one lap that was a bit messy. The rest of them within 1/10 of each other, and then all of a sudden he's found a second and a little bit more time. So Caribbean Crush getting a little bit quicker at the moment. Twist Royalty also very consistent with his lap times, 2 to 3 tenths between pretty much each of his laps, and that is why Danny Railton is not able to do anything at the moment since he's got into 4th place, because he's lapping a little bit slower than the Twist Royalty, but Danny's still being consistent, and for the OG Dragon is a second or two off the pace of Danny Railton, which is why he's not getting in on him.
Okay, Dave, thanks for the information there. It's very impressive to hear that these guys are being so consistent in these conditions. Leading, do you reckon the traction's helping? As again, Gonk and Lord JB are close again, and it looks like Gonk may have a run down to 130R. Well worth having a look at as we speak, Leading.
Let's go to Gonk then. Oh yeah, I'm just now going to Gonk, fighting in 12th position, having a run on the Red Bull. Of course, with no DRS, it's a bit of hope to get in front, but well, you need to get a bit of a dive bomb to get it done here. Well, of course he doesn't. It would be very risky to do it. I think he has a good run down to the main straight. Oh, the Red Bull is going on to the pit straight.
Lord JB in the pits, set of inters, end of lap 9. I believe he himself is in two-stop territory as we speak.
Yes. Yeah. Well, pitting on lap 9, I wouldn't imagine stopping one more time.
Race leader Curly Whirly into the pits.
Alright, let's have a look. Just stops right on time to make sure he doesn't get a penalty.
Caribbean still going. Little update, Caribbean still going.
Yeah, having a lovely look at the pit exit as he waves Curly Whirly bye-bye for at least one other lap. So, especially on these conditions, it's, well, as we discussed, a true
Danny
test.
Railton, Curly Whirly, Danny Railton, Curly Whirly pit exit. Here they come.
Yep.
He's just nipped it, gone wide. Ooh, keep hold of it, Sunshine. Well done, fair play.
It was a live iteration of Tokyo Drift right here.
Oh, it was beautiful, and
well
this may compromise Curly Whirly in a massive way. Can he maintain and get past him and get back up to those lap times? Or can Caribbean Crush make hay, possibly go to the one stop now, but he won't know what's going on back here. So this could get interesting as we proceed through the race.
So DP, do you know what the gap was between Curly Whirly?
It was just under 7 seconds, and I mentioned earlier on about the pace that Danny Railton was doing. It was about a second, a little over a second. Oh, Curly Whirly, have a look on the inside. Yeah, it was about a second slower than the cars ahead of him. So this is costing Curly Whirly time, and it could be very, very close.
Thank you very much for the update there, VP. But Danny seems to have pulled away. This is good. He may have turned up the engine here. Curly Whirly running a bit further back, finding his pace again, coming out of Spoon, possible run. This may give us the likes and looks of what we're looking at with Curly Whirly and Arrow. See if he can get this done now, or down into turn 1 if he can't. It's going to cost him even more time. With Caribbean Crush, fresh air, probably smiling, waving to the fans as we speak.
And Caribbean Crush is continuing on, and that's what he needs to do. He needs to hope that Curly Whirly gets held up enough, and potentially Caribbean Crush won't stop this race.
Sorry, DP, they're very, very close now. Curly's looking straight away off the last corner, side by side. The run down to turn 1 now. Who's got the straight line speed? Who's going to go late on the brakes? Curly Whirly inside, comes down around, holds a tight line. Nicely done. Simple move. He's got to make up time now. He's got to pump in some hot laps, because with Caribbean Crush on a possible one stop, Curly Whirly looking on the 2 now. This is going to be very, very tight as we enter the last closing stages of this race, if they can keep doing what they've been doing.
And even if Caribbean Crush is on a one stop, Curly is going to have a lot of fresh tires, so they will come together in the end maybe.
Yeah, that's very true. DP, if you could just keep us updated with lap times, the next couple of laps between Caribbean Crush and Curly Whirly, give us an idea on the comparison there.
Alright, let's see, are there any other battles kicking off at the moment we should watch?
Just jump back to the OG Dragon and Uzi. They were quite close. The OG Dragon looks to have pulled out around a 3.5-second gap over in at present. Possibly tyre wear coming into effect now. Shumi in 8th, Eraser in the pits in 10th. Gonks flying down, he's in 10th now. He's just jumped Eraser. Other than that, they seem pretty spread out, unless I've missed something you're watching, Bleeding.
Yeah, I just saw a message popping up that Anders'
Endurance is over. I saw him enter the pits, and it looked like he entered it okay, but it says he crossed the pit lane, exit white line, and then there was a terminal damage DNF, so I don't know if he lost control on the exit of the pit lane, but unfortunately his race is over, and Eraser has got a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pits.
It's always unfortunate. It happens to the best of us, but at that time, I don't think we should broadcast their voice.
Never wise. Never wise.
I'd agree with that. Okay, you wanted an update on Curly Whirly and Caribbean Crush. Caribbean Crush's last 2 lap times was a 49.6 and a 49.5. Curly Whirly now is in clear air, a 1:47.9. So Curly Whirly much quicker on the intermediate tyres, the new intermediate tyres, but may have another pit stop to do.
Yes, but with only 12 seconds between them, I might think, that it's gonna be close. I mean, Curly Whirly going in so fast. Well, with we've got 15 laps left. If he jumps in with the second lap, well, it might be interesting.
Very interesting. The gap at present 11.5 seconds. Tough, because when Caribbean Crush gets those fresh inters, he's going to be able to push. So the comparison times of the strategies is going to be very, very interesting. I believe, could be wrong, we've had Twist Royalty make a pit stop for another set of intermediates, and he's out in 4th. Currently 24.7 seconds off the lead.
Yep, the only 2 not to make a stop yet is Caribbean Crush in Danny Railton and Coloniex, who's sitting in 5th place.
Okay, thank you very much, DP. Just looking back at Uzi, the OG Dragon seems to be the closest battle, and Uzi seems to have pulled it in by about a second since I last jumped on board with him. So Uzi may be pushing back.
Oh yes, I'm on board with Uzi now, and he sure looks aggressive on his line. He even touched the grass, goes a bit wide. It's an adventurous line, so shall we say? But he's doing everything to get the Mercedes in front.
Just to let you know, just to let you know, Danny Railton has just made his pit stop for another set of intermediate tyres, so he'll try going to the end. I'm just curious if he's going to come out in any traffic or not. I don't think he is. I think he's going to be far enough ahead of Coloniex. Yes, he is, so he's in clear air.
But we're now on lap 12, and it's 27 laps. If my math is correct, wouldn't you want to spit a bit later if you're going for one stop?
It's an interesting one, that. Do you go for the one late or early, or I'll try and split it down the middle.
Yeah, I mean, if you do a one stop, the main problem is making the finish line with some tires on your car, and I guess you want to go at least halfway to make sure you can actually finish.
I was just going to say, if there's not any battles on screen at the moment, you may want to have a look at Curly Whirly, and we'll just have a look at how he's driving, because he's catching up to Caribbean Crush at about 2 seconds a lap at the moment.
I just want to give you a quick update as well, Bleeding. When Caribbean Crush makes his pit stop, we've got Twist Royalty in 3rd, 23.6 seconds off the lead. I believe that's territory for the undercut on Caribbean Crush, so Caribbean Crush could hit traffic.
Eraser is shown as being disqualified, and I'm seeing Caribbean Crush with a front right puncture, and he is into the pit lane. So if he did have a puncture, it came at exactly the right time, just before the pits.
Wow. Well, and
very interesting.
That goes to think. I mean, if he just blew his tires on 13 laps, then it will be even more tricky to do 14 on them to the finish line, or even 15.
Twist Royalty coming around the final corner, just coming down the pit straight. I think Caribbean Crush is just eked out enough, but with Twist Royalty up to speed, he may close in on him over this lap. If not, Caribbean needs to get these cars going quickly.
Yes. I mean, with only the inters you would think it would be just a race to the finish line with one strategy, but it turns out it's a race of strategies.
It is indeed.
It definitely is. And one driver with an interesting strategy was a Razor 21. I mentioned that he got a drive-through penalty. Oh, I've just seen the OG Dragon run a little bit wide at turn 1 and uses not too far behind, but it's not close enough to attack yet. But yeah, Razor 21, his strategy was to not serve the drive-through penalty, and unfortunately he's been black flagged by the clerk of the course.
That's pretty unfortunate, but yeah, kind of the result of his own actions.
Well, I'm wondering if he was testing it to see how many laps you'd get, so when he's commentating on the World Series, it's something he knows he can keep an eye on. Don't worry, Razor, I got your back, mate. I got your back.
Just having a quick flick through the field as the info is coming through there. All drivers seem spread out. Oh, we've got Shimi Garcia, Canoliac going past around Delta 2. Degner, what am I saying? Yeah, Ferrari's just had a moment there, didn't catch it, but probably took too much curb on the way into the first Degner. So Canoliac is up to 7th, and this is another battle I will follow with whatever you're following yourself now.
Right, I'm now following Coloniacs for a bit to see how far he was in front of the Ferrari, but I'd say we have a look on what's happening.
I'd keep an eye on that battle, sort of Coloniacs, and also possibly Yuzi just ahead. I'll keep an eye on Caribbean Crush for you.
Yeah.
Gap between himself and Curly Whirly at the moment is 12 seconds, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But I'll keep you updated if you want to keep an eye on those two battles in the middle of the field. But something I want to mention to both of you as well is you were talking about sort of the difficulties of racing here in the wet. And kind of proof of that is the attrition rate around this circuit. We're down to only 10 drivers on the track at the moment. A number of crashes for DNFs and a few mistakes out there, unfortunately, for drivers.
Oh yes,
it is indeed. I'll let you go first with this one, Bleeding. An attrition rate around here, high. Driver mistakes, conditions playing a big part. What would you say? You must have turned some wheels around here in the dry.
Well,
I know I have.
It's I think it's a track where you might be good at, or you are totally not good at. It's a really technical track, which I think it's a track more than all the tracks that that you can do really well or do not so well. Oh, there's a Colonius going off the track. Maybe a bit of a loss of concentration, but now the Ferrari behind him is just on his gearbox. He's going for a move down to the hairpin. Coloniax cuts him off. Let's do it. Oh, there's a bit of the crash!
Contact. Big crash,
it's a drag race off the corner.
Oh, what would you say to that one?
I'd say to that one, that's the kind of stuff you'd expect to see in the knuckles, not at the hairpin. I can expect it at the knuckles, being a knuckle duster, but not at the hairpin.
Well, it's a cheeky. It was a cheeky move. It's a good work, but unfortunately it did not. But we talked about the reserve being a class for people who want to prove themselves or maybe get into the World Series. Does stuff like this affect your chances, Dave?
No comment. No. If you're going to make mistakes, make them here and now, because if you're doing it in a championship or the World Series, it's very, very costly. You're not going to get a bad name, you're not going to get wrapped. It's just promotion of clean driving. Of course, we've got both Ferrari and Sauber at it now, coming off the final corner. Ferrari in the pits, just to pick up late for. Yeah, it's always wise. Get your elbows out, get the driver some stick, but guys, keep it clean, be considerate, or accidents like that can happen. But it's one of those things you've got to learn the hard way, I'd say, because if you don't, when these things happen, it can dent your confidence in racing competitively.
It definitely can. Just to update you, Gonk is entering the pits for his second pit stop. Currently sitting in 9th place. He may lose the position to Lord JB. Lord JB's just had to let Curly Whirly through, and I think Lord JB will have another pit stop to make soon. Making it right now, he is. Sounded a little bit like Yoda then. Making it now, he is.
Wow, having a look back at the front, we've got our three leaders as we speak. Curly Wurly in first, running away with it. A guy that's coming, showing his stuff, showing he's not afraid to mix it with the quick guys. Caribbean Crush, we know all about this guy, been around a long time now, he's got the pace. Could he go with a one stop to the end, or could, like BP noticed, pick up another puncher with the fuel coming off? I doubt it myself though.
It might be
Twitch Royalty though is in third, 18.1 seconds off the lead. Now, if Caribbean Crush is going for a one stop and the two guys around him going for a two stop, Twitch Royalty prolonged his first stop. If he does the same again, this could wreak havoc and annoyance to Curly Wurly in trying to get his, well, I think this would be his third win in the reserves. Correct me if I'm wrong, DP?
I think you might be right there. It would be, yeah. I mean, you mentioned about Caribbean Crush. I mean, Caribbean Crush is a very good driver. We've seen that in the World Series of Reserves, and we've seen it in the World Series when he's been a reserve. But at the same time, he's kind of been unlucky. I mean, he's definitely deserving of a seat, there's no doubt about that, but he must be absolutely banging his head against the wall, because you'd expect him to be first in line, and then all of a sudden this chocolate bar comes along with a number 7 at the end of his name and starts winning races, and I can imagine it'd be very, very frustrating for Caribbean Crush.
Yeah, I agree with that point there myself. Caribbean Crush has probably got a few words going through that helmet race by race as the seasons progress for the reserves and for the series, of course, in this side of the event. But he's definitely a driver, I say, should now be a reserve, not a reserve driver, coming from the reserves into the World Series and should have a seat, need to get the guy a seat. But it's an unfortunate event. You've got to keep proving yourself, because when the seat comes available, you normally get it in this situation. Maybe drivers preferring a different driver style, or it could be just the drivers in general getting along in sharing setups and knowledge of going for the constructors.
And also, if you happen to get asked to, if you're up to take a seat, make sure you say yes all the time, because
oh yes,
it's a chance which it's not available too much, especially in the series where it's really competitive. I mean, the reserves, most of the races are pretty full. So we've got like 16 guys every race, or 18 guys who want to get that one spot, and well, it has to be you to get it.
Exactly. A little bit of update for you. We've got Uzi pitting now for, I believe, his second stop. Another set of inters. He wasn't that far behind the OG, so possible undercut coming into play with the fresh rubber in these conditions, but all will be revealed when the OG pits next time around.
Yeah,
Sorry, go on, Niels.
Yeah, I think being on lap 18, I think we got most stops. I mean, mathematically, I think we got most stops right around the corner now.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Jump on board with Curly Wurly, because I reckon he's going to be pitting this lap.
So on board now.
I mean, what I was going to say, everything you've said there about the reserves as well, absolutely spot on. If you get offered the chance, say yes.
Never say no. Curly Wurly into the pits. I'm now jumping on board with Caribbean, 13.9 behind. I believe Curly Wurly's actually extended his lead on older intermediates there. So this will be interesting. Caribbean coming through. I'm now going back to Twist, because this is where I want to see where Curly Wurly comes out. Should be behind. Coming to the exit now. Going to be a bit close. I believe Twist has got it done here. As there he goes. Yes. So Curly Wurly's got it all to do again. I'm sure this guy's got a few of his own. He's round wide. That could possibly be frustrations already kicking in. Why am I stuck behind this Williams again? I've been there myself, have you?
He might as well get his engineer from Nico Rosberg. This next overtake is crucial for the championship. Overtake now.
As we know, this is probably our closest battle at present, unless the OG is pitted. I will jump back and check. He's in the pits now, so if you follow what's going on up at the front, Bleeding, I'll see what happens between Uzi and the OG.
Yeah, so we're following Curly Wurly now on his brand spanking new intermediate tires. He's now 7 seconds off the lead, so with 8 something left to go, well, it might be possible.
Jump on board with Uzi.
Very, very tight. Coming in, Uzi has made ground up. OG got a bit of a distraction of a ghost car, not helping him get confidence on the tyres, struggling, very, very tentative. I think Uzi did the same in the background there. Back to square root one for the pair of them. Uzi needs to kick in now, make it count. His tyres are the warmer compound between the two at the moment.
It does. If we go back to Curly Whirly, sorry to chuck you around the cameras there, but I thought it was going to be a lot closer than it was. Information for you about Twist Royalties. We've got Gonk getting well out of the way, dealing with blue flags. Twist Royalty pitted at the end of lap 11. So 16 laps on a set of intermediate tyres might be done, but guys, Curly Whirly's about to mug him.
16 laps, wow. That's a lot.
Here comes Curly Whirly down the pit straight, flying. Has he got the straight line speed? No. Twist's got the speed. Has he got the grip? Ooh, very, very close there. Very nice driving between the pair, enough respect. But again, Curly Whirly, sector one, as you probably know yourself, Bleeding Sunrise, not a sector you want to be behind this way of car.
It's not a place where you usually can overtake. Of course, his tires are a lot longer. Maybe we see something like Verstappen on Nico Rosberg in Singapore last year, with some special driving skills.
It is indeed. Just a little bit of an update. Ooh, touching. Ooh, hopefully no damage come from that. Don't want to affect this race with a silly little incident like that. Guy's getting a bit impatient, I feel. Determined. Little nose in the hairpin. Really started to skip. He's really want to get this done, because I'm telling you now, if you can't see it on the screen, the gap to the lead's only 6.7. It's there for him. DP gave us the information. He can be 1 second a lap faster. Needs to clear this man now.
He does, yeah. If he can get past Twist Royalty right now, he has got enough laps to catch up to Caribbean Crush. And I'm watching Caribbean Crush. It looks like he's really pushing these tyres hard.
Well, as you feed that information, we've got Twist Royalty with the manner so far up his gearbox, it'd be pushing him along too. Impatient, nosing, left, right, throwing his car, trying to put Twist off in the mirrors. Getting to the left side, to the right, here it goes. Cross centre, he's very late, very ambitious.
Needs to let him through.
What's he going to do? Sportsmanship or twist in the pits? Twist in the pits. Game on.
Lost some time.
I think there was sportsmanship there. Curly Whirly was not gunning it when he came back onto the track. I think it took him a moment to realise that Twist Royalty had headed into the pit lane, but it did look like Curly Whirly was trying to give that position back. Maybe we'll find out if he gets to the end on the podium. But it's now 7.1 seconds. I think that gap might go up a little bit, and 6 laps to close the gap.
Could get very tight towards the end. Just a little update, Twist come at the pit, and Danny Railton's just jumped in another battle that could escalate towards the end. So for the podium, it's all kicking off first and second, all or nothing. Third and fourth, all or nothing. What have these guys got? Who's going to come out on top?
Can you tell I've taught Dave well? I was about to come in and say, Twist Royalty's been passed, and you beat me to it. Good stuff,
I like
good stuff.
So as we go, we've got Curly Whirly. 7.6. DP did give us the information it would jump up. It has by about 4 or 5 tenths. Clean air. Let's see what the guy can do with about 6.5 laps to go. Anything kicking off your end, Bleeding?
I was just flicking through from Curly to 4th place and back to see how they're driving, but the gap from Curly really is going down to the lead of the race.
You may want to stick on board with Twist then, because he's closing Uzi bit by bit, and I will keep an update with the lead as we go along.
I'm watching Twist Royalty now trying to close the gap on Danny Railton. He is sure to have a look, but the gap at the moment is still pretty large. But this brand new tires, he should be able to close the gap pretty quickly.
That's as close as Twist spin, fresh rubber, just to get interesting down into turn 1. It's a good run. Danny pushing the curb on the exit there. Final curve, round Japan, long run. You know Twist got some good, he's flying. Twist got some good straight line speed here, even in the wet. We believe he has said this when he's been in the comms before. Just not enough this time around, can Danny stay composed? Maybe a touch on the exit curve. But Twist is cutting, so they're both getting a bit of grass on their tyres. Could get interesting. Sector 1, calm down, may kick off as they come off the hairpin.
You know, on my screen, on the start-finish line, Twist Royalty was slipstreaming to Danny Wilton, but Danny Wilton even gained a bit of a distance on him, even, you know, with a slipstream of Twist Royalty, but they're really close now. Do they touch? Oh no! It's end of his race. Twist Royalty crashes.
Oh
Really
no, I
unfortunate
believe
for him.
DP will fill us in. It looks like terminal damage.
It's terminal damage. It
I
was on
will
my
fill
screen.
you in.
It was
Your
on my
audio
screen.
might go as well. Yeah, Niels, your audio might go a little bit fuzzy. That's desperately unlucky for Twist Royalty. I can see that Sertek Karatepe has joined us in the chat party. I'm just going to ask Sertek to hello. If you can just keep quiet for us for a little while. We're very close to the end of this race. Curly Whirly is closing rapidly, 6 seconds behind the leader, and also something happened to the OG Dragon. He lost a position to Yuzi while all that action was kicking off between Twist Royalty and Danny Railton.
Thank you very much for the information, DP. Doing a very, very good job there. Complimenting me, I'll compliment you.
Thank you very much.
It looks good. It looks like we may have 3 battles kicking off then. We know the OG was slightly quicker than Uzi in the middle in the opening stint. And see what this will do. And I'm on board with Danny Railton as we speak. He's coming in the pits. I'm going to see where he may feed out to in the battle behind.
Alright. I'll have a look on Curly Whirly to see how his gap is coming down to lead this race. The last lap it was in the 6-second mark. It's now 5.7 seconds. It's only 4 or 5 laps left to go. But, there's one rule in F1: you can catch someone on track, but you also have to pass him. That's another story.
Very, very true there. Little update on Danny Railton for you. The car behind him is the teammate in, well, the WSR teammates, I guess. He is 1 minute 7 seconds off behind the lead, so he was no threat to Danny Railton. Danny Railton, keep it clean, keep it out of the wall. He'll find himself on the podium, joining the Caribbean Crush, and Curly Whirly, which be interesting to get his thoughts on the pace the 2 in front have displayed here today.
Well, you're talking about pace. Let's see, Curly Whirly, his last 3 laps, a 1:49.7. That's when he was stuck behind Twist Royalty, a 48.0, a 47.4. He's on for another fast lap now. Caribbean Crush, though, let's see, his last, well, he's still consistent as ever. Last 3 laps, a 49.2, a 48.1, a 48.7. So he's given it everything he's got as Caribbean Crush, and he needs to. The best thing he can do is go and win here.
It is indeed. Keep showing everybody what you got. Keep up the great work this guy's put in. The seat will come. Give it time. Be patient. But as you said, Curly Whirly's coming. He's showing us everything he's got, and the time gap between them is coming down as rapid as DP said. The current gap at present on lap 24 is 4.8 coming through the slalom, I like to call it, up through Dunlop. Going to just get a reading on his first sector time, see where he's picking his time up over Caribbean. So as we come around the long Dunlop up to Degner 1, he's 4.1. That's a lot of time taken out of the first sector alone. Nicely through Degner 2, Caribbean Crush. Looking smooth, a bit wobbly under the braking, but the guy's just got to keep doing what he's doing, like DP said, because I don't think, under the circumstances, Curly Whirly's got enough lap. May come down to the last corner, Senna and Prost, let me get my words out, into the final chicane, who knows?
Well, it all could happen. I mean, one mistake from the lead, and it turns the race upside down. But I think Curly really made about half a second on this last lap. Might be my math, but he might not have enough laps left. Indeed.
Around about that, but a little update for you on this lap. He's now 3.5 behind him. He's taken over a second out of him in 2 sectors alone. What damage is he going to do? You can see the Mercedes just ahead of him now, going around the final curve as Curly Whirly takes that same corner now. What's the gap? 3.5 it was. Coming down it's 3.0. The guy's taken around a second and a half out of him in 1 lap. This ain't over. 3 laps to go. Well, 2 laps plus the one they're on. Who knows? This is going to get very, very feisty between 2 of the most competitive drivers in the reserve, with the current guys in the series being promoted.
Oh yes, the driving of these drivers sure proves something, and it's sure going through the wire and something as well. Of course, the leader is on the one stop, and he might be close to hitting the cliff, so the gap or the grip difference between the 2 tires of Curly Whirly and the Caribbean Crush might just get worse and worse.
Sorry, Niels, just need to quickly mention that it sounds like you've taken a stroll away from your microphone again.
Better?
That is a bit better. The gap down to 2.2 seconds. Also, just quick update for you as well. The OG Dragon, the next closest battle, 4 seconds behind Yuzi. I'll keep an eye on that one for you. But obviously, the story at the moment is: can Curly Whirly defeat Caribbean Crush? Can Caribbean Crush hold him off? We're about to find out.
It's all getting sharp at the front end. Curly Whirly on a mission to prove why he's here, to beat anyone and anyone in his way. He's done it so far. Can he continue his progress? Only the next 2 laps and a bit will tell us. 1.2, this guy's impressive. That's a full second, 1 sector alone. The tyres are coming into play now. What's Caribbean going to do? If I was him, I'd be playing parking on the apex, Bleeding. What about yourself? Make them wait, get on power a little bit later, so they can't draw out the best traction out of the better compound they're on.
I would get out all the tricks in the book.
Tricks in the book?
Oh yes. I'm in first and you're not going to get it.
I'd be throwing the book.
Throwing bananas behind my car and stuff like that.
Well, I'll remember to stay away from the Red Bull in future.
Oh yes.
So, as we come into lap 26 through the slalom, known as the S's, I name it the slalom myself, coming up through Dunlop, very tricky in these conditions. Now Curly Whirly's behind him. Over the line it was 1.1. Coming up to sector 1, well, I don't even reckon it's half a second. But
yeah, it's like a tenth.
He's there now. It's 4 tenths. He's there now. Turbulent air. Ooh, getting close. He likes that late braking in Degna too. I need to have a chat with this man after the race. Going into the hairpin. Ooh, ambitious. Lovely bit of space there. Lovely driving by the pair. Great respect to see there. Caribbean Crush getting the power down. Wider line. Holds his position. What do both drivers do here? Curly Whirly staying within the slipstream of Caribbean Crush. Nothing working for him in Spoon. Got to stay tight on the exit now. All about traction. He's got the grip. Whoa, slightly wider line. Gotta be. What are you saying, Bleeding? You reckon it's going to happen before 130R?
Oh, it might happen right now. Curly Whirly sure wants to close the deal. They're weaving all over the straight. This is going down the wire into 130R. It's an overtaking spot as shown by Max Verstappen in the actual race. There's he going. No, he waits till his final lap. If he gets a good traction out of this corner, he might be able to do it. But he gets a run. He gets a lot of slipstream. I'm sure Caribbean Crush is really sweating right now to deal with the pressure of Curly Whirly. They both make the corner into turn 1. Nobody outbrakes himself. It's class driving from these gentlemen, and I'm sure we will applaud them if they both reach the podium and don't scratch each other off.
Second that.
Well, a bit of info for you. Curly Whirly's much quicker. Oh, Gong's out of the race. Curly Whirly's going for it around the outside. Oh, can't quite do it though. Curly Whirly's fuel light is on. Caribbean Crushers isn't.
Ooh, that's interesting information. So, Curly Whirly, can he not give the engine power down the straights without the fuel there? Is that why he's attacking so much into the corners like Degna we've just seen there, near enough kissing the rear of the Mercedes there? Half a lap to go. You've got to get it done. Where would you pick your moment? Ooh! I think that was a little bit of a kiss on the rear there, but the wing stays intact. Both drivers come in. Oh. So here we go. Up to Spoon.
It is going to end like Austria in 2016 with Hamilton and Rosberg. It's going to end the same way. He's cutting the corner right now. We're going on to the final, well, the actual straight, the final straight of the race. Caribbean Crush goes a bit off track. He has a bad traction. Can Curly Whirly do it at the final opportunity? We have to
He's pushing that
off.
Mercedes along. Ooh, here we go, Senna and Prost. Is he going to do it? Here we go. Oh, no. Well, Senna and Prost did not finish the race. Fair play to these two. At least they're going to cross the finish line.
It's still close though. Curly Willy can't run on him. Into the barrier.
Oh my god.
How's that car still going?
Is he still driving? Yeah, he's still driving.
He is.
Oh my god. Well, commentator's curse there in full effect.
Wow.
I will keep my mouth shut in future events.
So back to some senses. I'm going to Danny Rail to finish the race. He is currently in third position. Well done to him to keep his car on track all race long for 27 laps. Going through the final scenic route of 130R, making sure to keep it on track and bring home well-deserved third position.
Well, just a side note for you, Bleeding Sunrise. You're the man standing in between those two drivers. I'm out.
It's going
yeah,
to be a fight.
That's a good point. We've got the podium interviews coming up soon. I just want to quickly mention as well, before fourth place crosses the line, which is Yuzi, that unfortunately Gonk had a crash on the last couple of laps there. His race over, unfortunately, but Yuzi crossing the line now to take fourth.
OG Dragon closely followed behind, not too far behind, but a guy that's impressed me, Knoliax, is a guy that's normally fighting for points towards the rear. I've noticed over the races I've viewed him, he's kept it on the track, brought his car in and sit. Great job from the man there. Drop back to Shumi Garcia, around the final few corners, another, I believe, is this his first show in BP Soul?
It is, yeah. I mean, he made his debut in the World Championship Reserves last night, and as I mentioned, if you guys just remind you, if you can take screenshots, please. Yeah, Shumi had his debut last night, but unfortunately a disconnection meant he couldn't take part in the race. But I mentioned earlier about attrition rate. I mean, look at how many DNFs there. I mean, I do think the conditions have played a major part in that, which the podium interview could be interesting. I know a driver that'll be wondering how the hell Curly Whirly didn't destroy his car there, because Rickster last season in the World Series did pretty much exactly the same thing and his race was over. Yeah, podium interview is going to be interesting, let's put it that way.
Oh, yes.
What was quite impressive for me there was looking at the times, the two guys out in front giving hell for leather and not a penalty. That's actually quite impressive and great racing to see.
It is. I'm just going to invite in the podium sitters. Just want to make sure and check. It was Curly Whirly, Caribbean Crush, and Danny Railton, I believe.
That is correct.
Well, I think we can calm down from a really exciting race, especially on lap 1 and the last lap of the race. It was breathtaking to see these drivers going at it on these atrocious conditions. And I'm sure.
Well, you can calm down. I'm going for a lie.
Oh. Well.
No, but as you said, great race. It's great stuff, and this is what the reserve's about, you know. So come in, give it a go. Hell for leather, guys, and yeah, come and challenge Curly Whirly and Caribbean Crush, because they seem to be the guys on the mission at the moment.
So we're just waiting for one more driver, I believe, and then me and coming to get you will hide while Bleeding Sunrise tries to do the podium interviews. I just realised as well, apologies, we didn't do a question of the day, but there was a bit of a rush just before broadcast. We can always give it to the drivers on the podium. We can let's From Racing GP do that one. From Racing GP will be able to join us now to get us updated on YouTube comments or any questions that any of the viewers may have for our podium sitters. But yeah, so as the guys are now with us, I'll say one thing and then I'll hand over to yourself, Bleeding Sunrise and Caribbean Crush. Guys, whatever you may want to say, just make sure you got your microphone set to allow to be shared and try and keep the swearing down to none if possible. I'll quickly say, well done, good race. I'm going to go and hide. Dave, you coming with me? Bleeding Sunrise, good luck, crack on.
Thank
Hi
you.
guys, that was a great race, fantastic. I'm off with DP. I saw what happened. We're going to the bar. All right.
You're leaving me too as well. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. We'll bring you back a vodka when you're done.
Oh, thank you. Make the whiskey. Thank you.
Okay, no problem.
So, guys, welcome to the podium. Well done to each and every one of you in these conditions, which looked atrocious from our perspective. Let's not jump into it straight away. So, Caribbean Crush, well done to you to finish the race in first position. It was a really, really close battle for first. What did you make up of that? How do you feel?
Well, quite shocked that I managed to win the race by doing the one stop. That's it, really.
So we were quite amazed. Was it always your plan to do a one stop, or did you just come along?
Yeah, it was always my plan to do the one stop because the way Curly Wurly was pulling away from me, I knew that his tyres weren't going to last very long anyway. So the only way to win the race is to do one pit stop less, and it's worked out for me anyway.
So and then moving to a bit of the end of the race, we saw a race in which well, I didn't expect it, a race in which strategy was pretty important, so to say, and it came all together in the end. How did you feel watching Curly Wurly coming to get you?
Well, I was in first, and for the last couple of laps, I felt a bit nervous because he was catching me a bit. But I realised that when he was right directly behind me, he couldn't overtake. I knew my aero was much lower than his, so felt confident that I was be able to bring home the win anyway. So, yeah.
Well, really well done, and I can't imagine how those last few corners felt battling with Curly, especially on the chicane. And did you actually see the end, which ended Curly?
Well, I come out the chicane, I covered the inside towards the start-finish line, and well, I crossed the line, I turned around and he was in the wall. So, yeah, he's not very happy with me.
We'll get to that later. Well, well done to you from us. We talked just before inviting you guys in that we would applaud you in the battle we saw. It was really good to watch. So Dave, coming to get you. Do you have a question as well?
A question, just one, or could I have two?
You can have two.
Thank you. No, I'm joking. No, a great race from yourself, Caribbean Crush. It's great to see again. You've shown every fortnight, race in, race out. You've got what it takes. I said it in the comms throughout the race. Hopefully you get a seat sometime soon. First question: did you have a problem before your first stint? A puncture was brought up, possibility, or was it all clean sailing up to the first pit stop?
No, just a lack of pace. That was it, really. I kept conserving the tyres anyway, because I knew he was going to pit earlier than me.
No worries. Well, it's great to see, and now I've seen it can be done, I will be using it. Next question. 5 laps to go. Curly Wurly, ploughing. Never seen anyone go so fast in those conditions. What's your thoughts as the race leader going into those final 5 laps? What have I got to do to win?
Yeah, as I said, I knew that I had much lower aero than him, so all I needed to do was get decent exits out the corner when he caught up to me, and he wouldn't be able to do nothing, so that won me the race anyway.
That was nice. Your last question, sorry, it's gone over my two, Bleeding.
That's right.
Thoughts on what happened at the end? I know you described it a little bit. Did you any contact, or was it just...
I felt no contact. I don't know what happened to him. He went for a gap that wasn't there, so...
Okay. That's fair. I will now hand you over to DP, who sounds like he's itching at the bit to fire some questions at you. So DP,
quite the opposite. No, I mean I'm gonna go to the other end of the spectrum. Qualifying, Obviously, it was clear for anyone that looked at the weather in qualifying that the race was going to be wet. So, was it a case of knowing that you can just abuse the tyres in qualifying because you're probably not going to need them? And do you think that, well, did you get anywhere near your PB? Could you have gone faster?
No, I lost from my previous lap. I lost about 3 tenths in the S section. So, yeah, if you're on board, because I checked the stream when qualifying was over, and there was a mistake on there as well. So, if you look there, yeah. Anyway, yeah, it was a good lap though overall. It still got me pole by 3 tenths. So.
Okay. You may need to send a few thank you messages out to a couple of drivers, Twist Royalty being one, that I know when Curly Wurly made his pit stops,
Don't you
he
dare
came
make
out
my
behind
question,
them.
DP.
Well, we can lead on to that in a moment. So yeah, Caribbean Crush, you may have a few thank you messages to give out there. I mean, we mentioned on the broadcast that it's a high attrition race in those conditions. Just how tricky was it getting around the Suzuka circuit in those conditions under that pressure? I don't just mean at the end, I mean all the way through. So how close was it to risking being off the track and in the barrier?
Well, at the start of the race, I was behind Curly Wurly and made a mistake and lost about 3 seconds anyway. So I'm pretty sure that shows how difficult it was to keep it on the track.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, that's all the questions from me. So, Bleeding Sunrise, if you want to move on to second place sitter Curly Wurly, you
Keep
can
it
do.
clean. Keep it clean.
Yeah, I will play nice. Now, Curly Wurly, well done. You had some mesmerizing race, leading a lot of it, and well, we talked a bit before the race, and you were looking to win another one. Well, looking at the final battle, how exciting was it?
Yeah, the whole race was really good fun. Qualifying was a total disaster. I bottled about 3 laps, so yeah, that wasn't good. But it was enough for P2. Got a good start, and then I think Caribbean Crush put himself in the pit wall on about lap 3 or 4, or was close to it. So I got a bit of a gap there, and then I had the choice between the 1 and the 2 stop, and yeah, just fancied doing the 2 stop and pushing a bit. I think I could have pulled off the 1, but yeah, just I don't know if I had slipstream glitch or what, but I wasn't gaining on anyone on any of the straights. I was behind Danny, Twist, and Caribbean, pretty much parked on their bumpers along the straights and was just getting absolutely nowhere. So I don't know if that was that, but yeah, the last few laps were definitely interesting to say the least.
Oh yeah, and did you get on did your engineer say overtaking this car is crucial for the championship when you hit traffic?
I was actually listening to the stream at the same time,
Okay,
so
yes.
yeah, had you saying that.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty good. And do you have thoughts on the final corner of the race?
So, coming through 130R, I kind of pulled alongside, but he closed the door and me going to the chicane, so I had to back out and ended up breaking part of my wing there. And then I got a better exit. I was comfortably alongside going onto the pit straight, and he just drove me into the wall. So, yeah, I think I would have definitely had the win, but oh well, it's not much. It's not much to worry about. It's a good race.
Well, you definitely show us all that you're a very capable driver, and we noticed on the timing that you and Caribbean Crush were really consistent every lap. Like you went 2 tenths every lap. Did you notice this? 2 tenths in between every lap, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I was just trying to be consistent through the whole race. I mean, I wasn't pushing that hard until about the last lap or two. So yeah, I know that Japan is a difficult track, and if you try and drive flat out, especially in those conditions, I've done league races in the wet here. If you try and drive flat out all the time, you're probably going to end up in a wall. So you just sort of tone it back a little bit.
It is an interesting approach to see what gets you fastest to the finish line. So Dave, do you have another question or two?
Oh yes.
Ooh.
Curly Wurly, how you doing, fella?
Yeah, good man.
Good. Is Twist Royalty top of your Christmas list now?
For
Or going in the pits, coming out, and he just would not go away both times. Do you feel that's what cost you today?
no, probably not. I think I deserved it anyway, but it was just on the straight, so I wasn't gaining on him at all. Like, I was parked right behind him and wasn't going anywhere. So I had to get a bit inventive, tried one into the final chicane, and then was going to let him back through because I'd obviously missed the corner. And then he went in the pit, so I lost quite a lot of time because of that. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely useful that he pitted when he did. But I thought he was going to pit the first lap that I was behind him. So it was a little frustrating it being sort of two. But yeah, I think he had a good race as well.
Okay, it was, again, same to what I said to Caribbean Crush, it was great racing. The consistency was phenomenal between the pair of you with the different strategies. I was going to ask you about that last chicane with Twist, but you've covered that, so it's good to hear, good to see that the sportsmanship was there. Question though, qualifying, what are your thoughts? I caught your clips of flying laps going wrong and bits and bobs, but that last run, all or nothing?
It was a pretty terrible lap, to be honest. I was about 8 or 9 tenths off of what I was doing in time trial, so yeah, it didn't really go well. And I actually crossed the line 1 second too late to get another lap in. So yeah, the qualifying's just one to forget, I think.
That's a shame. Great showing from yourself again. Curly Willy 7, Caribbean Crush, 2 great contenders in the WSR. Great to see. So I will let DP nail you and see what he wants to fire.
Well, he's covered most of the questions that I would have asked. So instead, I'll say, seeing as your name's Curly Whirly 7, is it you that's got people eating chocolate bars, or is that Caribbean Crush or Danny Railton in the back? I can hear somebody unwrapping chocolate bars. It sounds like it's making me hungry. Who is it?
Wasn't
Definitely not me.
It's me.
Well, I suppose you've got to do some.
Buttons.
Make sure you share them. Okay, Curly Willy, questions for you. I mean, obviously, at the end, I mean, the big talking point of the race is the end of the race. We've seen many people end up in that barrier there. I mean, probably the thing I would, if I was going to say anything to any two drivers where that has happened, I'd probably say save your footage, have a little chat, and come out the other side of it if you can. But other than that, could we see you getting slightly bigger elbows in the next race?
No, I mean, you know, that sort of thing's happened. I've definitely done some pretty dumb things in league races in the past, so I probably will in the future as well. So yeah, I'm not, you know, there's not any sort of harsh feelings or whatever. I think it was pretty unfair, but that's just sometimes how it goes. Just gonna come back and win the next one, really.
That it is. Okay, well done. That's all my questions for him. So, Bleeding Sunrise, over to Mr. Button Eater, Danny Railton.
Hi Danny, welcome to the podium. Well done on reaching it, especially in these conditions. Can you talk a bit through your race for us?
First of all, before I start, I just want to dedicate my baby girl Willow. Just like to do that.
I'm sorry.
You cut out a little bit then. You might want to say that again.
I just want to dedicate this race to my baby girl Willow, who's a week old today, before I start.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. Right, start of the race, I had a little bit of an incident with a mate. I don't know what he's seen it like, but he sort of lost it on a certain turn, and I bumped into him, and I think it wasn't intentional. The rest of the race was just a normal race up until when Twist Royalty hit the back of me. He wrote his car off towards the end, but apart from that, it was just a steady race.
Did you feel a lot of pressure when you saw him up your mirrors?
He was only tending to be behind me every time he went in the pits. I sort of just got that little bit of edge off him, and then he was behind me for so much. And the first stint, he overtook me, but the second stint towards the end, I had a bit of a situation on a certain turn, and I think he just didn't read me and come off.
Sorry, I didn't really catch this last part. You cut off a bit.
Sorry, can you turn your mic up a bit? You're a bit low.
Yeah, I've got a bit of a technical issue with my mic sometimes now. I didn't quite hear your last sentence. It cut off a bit on your mic.
What was the question again?
What he asked, Danny, was would you be able to repeat the last bit of your sentence because the mic crackled up a bit, fella?
Yeah, just going back onto Twitch Royalty. Every time I overtook him, he was behind me, but the last stint, I just had a little bit of a situation on a certain corner, and I had to brake, and he hit the back of me, and that's when he come off towards the end.
Right, thank you. Guys, do you have other questions for Danny Railton?
Yeah, I'm curious about qualifying, Danny. I mean, great race, by the way. I mean, third, nice to see you on the podium.
Thanks.
It shows you've got consistency because you've done both sides now. I'm still questioning when you're going to make your mind up, but nevertheless, qualifying today. You see Curly Whirly, Caribbean Crush setting those times. Do you feel you could have competed on a better day, or was this all you had around Suzuka, or were you more aiming at the race with the conditions?
Well, considering my race yesterday, I didn't want to get stuck in too much commotion and battling in the race. I wanted to try and pace myself out and get in a nice little gap and see what I could get in the race. And I knew I'd pace, but yesterday it just stopped me. I kept getting in these little glitches. Today, once I got in a nice little position, I just wanted to see how much pace I had, get a nice smooth race, and see if I can get a podium.
Well, you reap the reward there, and I must say your consistency, the top four, I believe, was brought up by DP, was very consistent in what you were doing with taking the fight to each other, so it was great to see. So game plan, did you ever think, oh, shall I stretch it to the one stop like Caribbean Crush and push for second if I can?
I had that in my mind all the way through the race for a one stop, but it just shortened. I got about 4 laps before the end. I went in like lap 23, 24. I just didn't have the tyres left to do that one stint. I had to quickly go in, but once I'd obviously had that little bit of incident with Twitch Royalty, I could see how far back Uzi was, my teammate, so I knew I had a little bit of time to go in for fresh rubber.
Take your time, see yourself across the line, pick up the podium. It's the best way to be.
Yeah.
Congratulations to yourself, fella. Again, it's good to compete against you. You're a fair driver, and I can only
cheers.
Explain that and give you congrats, and to the other two drivers here today. And I'm going to hand you over to DP, who I'm sure will have some questions for yourself.
I've got one really, really important question. Did you give your missus any of the chocolate buttons?
I'm just moving them to her side now before I bet them all.
It was blokes, nice touch dedicating your result to little baby. So how is mother and child?
They're great. They're both sat next to me now, and I think going back onto that, I was that happy with obviously being delivered, and she's a week old now. I've just had that little bit of extra energy to take into the race, and yesterday I think I could have won that race yesterday as well. But like I say, I had them little incidents, getting knocked off at the first lap, and I bed my way back into the points, and then my head was up my ass, and I sort of missed my hard tyre, so my head wasn't really there. But yeah, today I've got myself, and I wanted to get the podium, and I've got it. And these two next to me, I can't love them more than I can say, but
Good. Now you have to be sneaky. Now you have to be sneaky and say, "Don't worry, darling. I'll take the night shifts. I'll do the midnight feeds." Because then you can get on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
I'm not joking with that. I know so many people that have done that as well. It's quite handy. But yeah, very well done.
I share on the night feeds. I do what I can.
Good. Peg on the nose for the nappies. Okay, next race. I can't remember for the moment where the location of the next race is.
America?
I think it's Texas, isn't it?
Texas. Okay, America then. A circuit we're probably not going to see rain, but do you think it's a race that you can go and challenge those two up ahead of you?
I think every race I can go challenge, you know, the top ones. It's just a matter of fact, is like I say, how your race plans out. I know my teammate is a brilliant race driver, Uzi, but just every now and again, we both get caught in a situation and it can just ruin your race. And Uzi is a brilliant driver and he should have been on that podium today. But like I say, I had that little nudge of him at the start. Obviously, he was having a brilliant battle with OG Dragon for what I could see behind me for quite a lot of laps.
That's a good point, actually. Thinking back, I do remember that now. There was about 4 or 5 cars all in a battle, and I think he just got overtaken, hadn't he? And then he got a little bit twitchy. So, yeah, I mean, races can hinge on tiny little moments like that. But anyway, very well done on the 3rd place, and obviously good wishes to the missus and baby Willow. And we'll look forward to seeing you next time out. Bleeding Sunrise, you may want to see if our silent assassin co-commentator has got anything for us.
Yeah, so GP, any action from YouTube?
I wouldn't be funny if I just sat here and said nothing.
Well, I saw on my screen that there were like 90 comments, so I can't imagine there aren't any.
I can't believe I've sat here for an hour and a half and said nothing. Right. Okay,
That's
so hello everyone.
Story of the day right there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. Comments on YouTube. The most important one is, what's question of the day?
Should we do question of the day now? Then give it to the podium sitters. This is obviously from a Racing GP, but I don't know if you realise that we are going to use it. Steve, your Turkish Grand Prix one. Do you want to ask that?
I can't remember. Was it how many Grand Prix have been held in Turkey? How many Turkish Grand Prix have there been?
Yeah. So the first one was in 2005.
Yeah, the last one in 2011. But how many has there been? So that's that.
3.
So okay, Caribbean Crush.
2.
Should we just say wrong? Move on. Okay, Curly Whirly?
Just going to say 7.
Moving on, Danny Railton?
I'm going to go with 3.
Wrong. On YouTube, no one's had any guesses apart from Drew saying 7. 7 is the correct answer. And all you have to do is work out how many years there are between 2005 and 2011. Anyway, questions on YouTube for podium drivers. Mr. Eraser21, what's the colour of the driver's underwear on the podium?
Caribbean Crush.
Black.
Same.
Danny?
I'll tell him I'll sell mine for a setup.
It would be so funny if someone said none.
Yeah. Looking again, what do we have on here? Do you know who it was that was sounding like Darth Vader on the in-game chat? Or breathing deeply.
No,
on the commentary
on the lobby. No, on the lobby chat on the drivers. So the drivers, if they're not in a chat party, they could hear other drivers. And someone was breathing heavily. Well, I'm only asking what it says on here.
Well, it won't make because I didn't have a mic in.
Yeah, same.
It's when you're concentrating and you don't really notice you're doing it. You breathe through your nose onto your microphone. Question from Drew. When you get the first sector correct, how does it feel? So he's not really asked that to anybody in particular, so I think we'll go through the drivers in finishing order. So, Caribbean Crush, how does it feel when you get that first sector correct? Because I'm pretty sure Drew's not done it yet.
Quite rewarding because I gained quite a lot of time on myself. If I make a mistake, I lose about 3, 4, 5 tenths in a second.
Okay, Curly?
Hopefully I'll have an answer for that sometime next week, because didn't today.
And Danny, how rewarding is it getting that first sector correct?
Getting that first sector is so crucial to the rest of your lap, I think. Obviously, you know, you've got all the messes and you've got the first bend, which is massive. You can get through all the messes smoothly. Your second and your third sector is like pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Okay, that's it for questions on YouTube. I'll just have a quick skip to the bottom just to double check. Okay, that is Uzi was just guessing at 9. The answer to question today was 7. Okay, so yeah, we're all done here. Congratulations to the 3 drivers on the podium.
Yep, cheers, man.
Bleeding Sunrise, back over to you.
Yeah, thank you guys for all the questions. Well done to the podium drivers. Thank you everyone for watching this eventful race. Thanks to all the drivers participating. And next week we're going off to Texas. Get our heads out.
It's not next week.
Oh, sorry, 2 weeks. Indeed,
Yeah,
in the next
2 weeks,
race,
man.
indeed, we'll go to Texas, grab a burger and a beer, and I'll see you soon for next week in the World Championship, in the World Series, to have another go at Suzuka, and we'll see if we get some more rain to enjoy. I wish you all a really good night, and see you soon.